What is up, everybody? I am back. Sorry about missing last week. I should be good for the rest of the season now. Anyways, won't dwell on that too long. Let's jump into tonight's episode of Married at First Sight. First off, we might as well talk about Zach and Michaela. So Zach gets COVID and Michaela gets sent back to Houston while Zach stays in Florida to quarantine. Brutal situation for them. You know, this is a 8-week process, and if Zach is stuck in quarantine for who knows how long, you know, it's not necessarily 2 weeks. It could be 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Who knows? We don't know. Like, he won't be able to do anything until he is symptom free. So it becomes a very awkward situation. You know, how much of their time from this experience has now been taken away? Already, I feel like this is a stressful situation to be in, to be married at first sight, and to add a positive COVID test on top of it just amplifies things even further. You know, thankfully, no one else got COVID that we know of. Michaela seemed like she was safe and got back home, but pretty rough situation for the start of their relationship. All right, let's jump from Zach and Michaela over to Mirla and Gil. Oh, it's just like, I don't even know what to say. Gil just seems like he's trying so hard to make the relationship work, and Mirla is just expecting him to do everything. And not only do everything, but do everything exactly how she wants. It just doesn't seem like a recipe for success. Like, what is the balance going to be in their relationship? I just don't get it. It's going to be very, very difficult for them to just find some middle ground, because Mirla, it just isn't willing to believe in middle ground. Like, even the situation today where Mirla gave in a little bit, and that was to go on the seaplane. She gets sick on the seaplane and makes the pilot put the plane down and says, no, never stepping foot off ground again. Just very awkward. And Gil is just going to have a major task ahead of him trying to make this woman happy. Another thing I just want to touch on from last week that I missed was just them sharing about how both of their fathers were killed. It just is, not killed, murdered. Just was a very bizarre thing to have in common with someone. I don't know if that was intentional with the producers or not, but just both very bizarre stories. And in my life, and it's been very, like, I don't think I've ever met anyone who's had a family member murdered. And to have two of them on the show matched together was very bizarre. And, you know, that moment Gil shared, and it seemed like Mirla wasn't going to share her story, but the next day she did. Seemed like a good moment for them, but still, 2 thumbs way down for this couple. All right, let's jump over to Rachel and Jose. Jose has a mouth fetish. Let's just go straight out and say it. He has a mouth fetish. We got the toothbrush incident. We got him wanting to feed her, him wanting her to feed him. It's just his fetish. That is what's going on here. You know, this isn't a case of him trying to baby Rachel or wanting Rachel to baby him. No, this is his fetish. This is what he get. Well, I won't go that far, but he is definitely, he's got a mouth fetish. That is what's going on. More serious stuff about this couple. Rachel is a little resistant on finances, you know, whether it's talking about moving in together. You know, Jose sees things as, hey, I've got a house, we should live in the house. And, as an outsider, totally makes sense. But in that moment, Rachel is trying to cling to whatever independence she can. Part of that is probably stems from not knowing if this is going to work or not. And the other part probably just stems from giving up that control of that aspect of her life. Ultimately, I feel like they can work on the finances. Just because she's bad with money and he's good with money, that should not be a deal breaker. There is absolutely middle ground there. And also, on top of that, when you start combining their incomes, which should happen once they're like full blown married and living together, you've eliminated a lot of one of those people's expenses. You're living in the same house. That's one mortgage payment or one rent bill. Like maybe that's more than what you were paying on your own, but that's now between two people. And all expenses tied into living in a house. What's cheaper? Having one cable bill or having two cable bills? No, one, of course. There are reasons that living with someone, being married to someone, creates less of a burden on your finances. So in my mind, there should be more leeway there for Jose and Rachel to find a balance between their two lives. He's very strict on his spending. Rachel is not. If there's a little bit extra money there, maybe they can find that balance. I don't really think I have too much else to say about Rachel and Jose. So far, I like them a lot more than I expected. I'm still a little on the fence. I feel like at some point things are going to come to a head with this couple, but right now they're off to a way, way, way better start than I ever expected. Next up, let's jump to Bao and Johnny. I feel like a lot of their episode really just revolved around the one night with the surprise date leading into bedtime. Johnny's attempt at romance was kind of fun to watch. Him going shopping with Jose, picking out the clothes. We get to the start of that date and he gives Bao the double XL shirt and she's like, what is going on? Was very sketchy. It was pretty sketchy, but then once they actually got into the date, things started going very well. Johnny said like, hey, I'm starting to really like you. Bao reciprocates. Everything's going well. They get to the nighttime. Johnny says, hey, let's get rid of this pillow barrier between us. Bao is amenable to that. And then all of a sudden, out of left field, Bao starts talking about her snoring, which is something Johnny had been teasing her about, that it turns out Bao is very sensitive about. So, we very quickly went from everything going great to ending the episode with Bao suggesting that they sleep in separate rooms. I hope Johnny has a save for that. I don't know how they're both feeling on the subject, but pretty tough. What we're seeing from Johnny so far is he likes to approach conflict in a humorous manner, and right now it doesn't seem like Bao is responding to that very well, because for her that's kind of bullying in a way, which is not a good look. Lastly, we have Brett and Ryan. Overall, I feel like they're kind of our most boring couple so far this season. They seem like they're getting along pretty well. Ryan's a little awkward, a little shy, a little quiet. We're waiting for him to open up a little bit still. And Brett is, she hasn't dated for a long time. It wants to take things slow on the intimacy side. So we're not really seeing a ton from this couple. Their big moment, in my opinion, was them talking about kids, family, and sex, which it was an okay conversation. Really, we learned that family is important to both of them. Maybe Ryan is a little more keen on getting a family started, and Brett really wants to take the intimacy side of things slow, and I think that's okay. In any relationship, not just married at first sight, you really have to move at a pace of the person who wants to move the slowest. Now, that doesn't mean that the person who wants to move faster can't encourage and do things to try to speed that pace up, but ultimately that has to come from that person who isn't ready yet. It has to be a mutual decision, it has to be something they both want. And it seems like Ryan is okay with that approach, and I really hope that that doesn't become an issue for this couple. All right, I think that's where I'm going to wrap things up for episode 5. I had a little splash of episode 4 in there as well. Not too much, but it is so good to be out of the weddings, onto the honeymoons. So we're actually seeing the couples interact with each other and starting to form their relationships. I would say I'm probably more positive about the couples at this point than I was at the start of the season, especially the couples that I had very firm no's on. I'm probably still leaning towards no's on those couples, but at least there is some level of positivity there. All right, that's it for tonight, everybody. Back to our regular schedule moving forward. As always, thank you so much for watching. Appreciate all the comments, appreciate all the support, and until next week, we'll see you later.